Now, the Ministry of Labour, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation, in conjunction with the International Labour Organization ILO, took a significant step towards fostering a healthier and safer working environment for all employees in Namibia. The ministry is initiating the development of the National Employee Wellness Code of Practice, aimed at ensuring the holistic well-being of the nation's workforce. To give us more insight on this, I'm joined on the line by the Deputy Director of Occupational Health and Safety at the Ministry of Labour, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation, Petrina Ngidengwa. Good evening to you, Petrina, and welcome to the show. Petrina, can you hear me? Good evening, Petrina, can you hear me? Well, we don't seem to be able to hear one another there with Petrina. Let's try one more time. Petrina, are you there? Petrina, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Well, good evening to you, and thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Let's start off with what is the purpose and objective of the National Employee Wellness Code of Practice?
The purpose of Employee Wellness Code of Practice is basically to guide employers and workers on how to develop and, or to say design and develop employee wellness program at workplace. The program that have to cater for both physical and mental well-being of the workers.
So how was the code developed, Petrina, and what stakeholders were involved in its creation?
The code of practice was developed. We had two parts. First, we started with a key stakeholders consultation. The key stakeholders are like development partners, key ministry like Ministry of Health, and our social partners, the workers and the employers. That was the individual stakeholder consultation, which took place on the 16th up to the 17th. And then on the 18th to the 20th, we then started with the workshop, which have different stakeholders, including now those that I have mentioned.
Mm-hmm. And what are the key principles and the guidelines that are outlined in the code?
The key principles that we are looking at, or to say been outlined in the code of practice. This is a code of practice that is addressing the health component of a human being. So the key ones are non-discrimination, that is number one, that we expect the employee wellness program to be conducted in a manner that it respects the human rights and dignity of any person who have to receive such a service without discrimination of any worker on the basis of their well-being, either being disabled or being discriminated based on their medical condition like HIV status. The other key guiding principles is a healthy working environment, that a working environment should be healthy and safe for all parties, the workers and the employers, including their visitors or their clients, just to enhance optimal physical and mental well-being and also to consider that their health or workers' health, it's well taken care of as we are adopting the working environment to make sure that the workers' capability in terms of their physical and mental well-being is being considered. Confidentiality, it's one of the key guiding principles that individuals' health information should be handled with confidential, that medical information, for instance, doesn't have to be shared with anybody without individual consent. The other one that I can touch is participation, or to say social dialogue and consultation, that as we are implementing the code of practice, employees and their representatives need to participate in the design of the program, that there should be cooperation between employers and the workers and their representatives from the beginning, from the designing, the implementation, even if they have to come to the part of evaluating the employee program, employee wellness program. So those are the key guiding principles that I can point out at this stage.
And how does the code address the physical, the mental, and also the social well-being of employees?
The code has got 3 pillars, if I have to say. The first pillar is the health promotion. Health promotion is generally looking at the mental well-being of a person, the physical well-being, and also psychosocial well-being. Mental well-being, it's one of the key components that the code of practice is really trying to address, knowing that nowadays we are learning here and there that mental health has really become a concern, not just at workplace, but it's becoming a concern in the society. If one can have it been to consider the global statistic when it comes to mental health, we are learning that 60% of the population, they are at the world of work. So out of those 60%, 15% of that have been diagnosed with mental problems. And among those mental problems, the high percentage of that, people have committed suicide. So it's really important that we start addressing the mental issue or the mental health at workplace, because that is a place where individuals spend more time of their lives. The other issues that the other pillar that is being covered here is the pillar of management of communicable and non-communicable diseases, that we want to ensure that individuals that are getting treatment, for instance, for TB, they are, just giving an example, that they are granted the time that they need for them to get their treatment so that they can recover. Issues of HIV and AIDS, that is one of the area that is being covered under management of communicable and non-communicable diseases. And the other pillar that we have here is elimination of violence and harassment. We know violence and harassment is one of the issues that really contribute to mental ill health, that if there are issues at workplace, if a certain individual experience harassment at workplace, they end up being depressed. They end up having, to say, mental related issues. So these are the pillars that have been covered by the code of practice, so that we try to make sure that we are ensuring a comprehensive individual mental health.
Well, Petrina, with so many things changing, how will the code be regularly updated and revised to reflect changing workplace needs and trends?
I would say the code will be revised when it's necessary. One cannot say it will be revised after 10 years because we don't know what might come. We learned from COVID. It came like unexpectedly. And if we are saying we are addressing communicable and non-communicable diseases in this code, and then it happened that perhaps a new challenge face the world of work, definitely we will have to consider revising or amending the code of practice.
And what resources or support is the ministry providing to help organizations to implement the code effectively?
Can you please repeat the question? It seems that I'm losing you.
What resources or support will the ministry be providing to help organizations to implement the code effectively?
The support we can, the support that the ministry can offer is the information,
right,
education and awareness. In terms of resources, definitely the ministry will have to consider developing materials which the employers and their workers can have access to. And the other thing is that we are developing this code of practice in consultation with the social partners, that is the employers and the workers. It's our code of practice. We all have that responsibility to make sure that we take it to our members, in terms of educating them, in terms of emphasizing and alerting them of the existence of the code of practice. So I would say we all have a role to play. Otherwise, from the ministry side, the resources or the support is the provision of the information. One thing that I can mention is that normally the government, if we promulgate a document or to say a legal instrument, we have to publish it so that it can be accessible to all parties.
Well, Petrina, thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. We really appreciate your time.
It's a pleasure. We also appreciate that you have accommodated us. Thank you very much.
That is, of course, Petrina Ngidengwa. She is the Deputy Director of Occupational Health and Safety at the Ministry of Labour, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation. She has been speaking to us about the National Employee Wellness Code of Practice, which is aimed at ensuring the holistic well-being of the